Rachel Zegler's Hollywood journey might be unraveling faster than anyone expected, and it's not hard to see why. Her latest project, Y2K, has bombed spectacularly at the box office. Debuting in a dismal 9th place, the film was yanked from theaters after a painfully short 2-week run. Now it's being fast-tracked for a streaming release just in time for Christmas Eve, a move that screams damage control more than celebration. The writing on the wall is becoming clear for Zegler. With this latest flop added to her resume, the future of her career looks increasingly uncertain. Could this be the beginning of the end for Hollywood's once promising star?
Y2K has scored one of the lowest Rotten Tomatoes scores in young A24 Studios' life, and that officially means it's game.
Before taking on Y2K, Rachel Zegler admitted she thought the film was merely about 90s fashion, music and movies. Yes, you heard that right. One of the most significant moments of millennial panic was boiled down to just a vibe. Her comments almost make you want to sympathize with her. Almost, but then there's her persistent sense of entitlement, like her insistence on being paid for every hour her work streams online. Meanwhile, Y2K went on to secure one of the lowest Rotten Tomatoes scores in A24 Studios history. Given A24's reputation for critically acclaimed masterpieces, that's no small feat. The fallout from this flop has thrust Rachel Zegler squarely into the spotlight, but for all the wrong reasons. And if we're being honest, Hollywood seems to be running out of patience. But let's zoom out. This isn't just about Y2K. Rachel's journey from breakout star to polarizing figure is a case study in Hollywood controversy. Her rise to fame began with her role as Maria in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story, where she went from a high school unknown to a cultural flashpoint. The backlash wasn't far behind. Critics pointed out that Rachel, who is half Polish and half Colombian, was playing a Puerto Rican character, igniting conversations about cultural appropriation. And that was only the beginning. She went on to portray an ancient Greek goddess in Shazam, Fury of the Gods, and snagged the role of Snow White in Disney's live-action remake of the German classic. With every casting, Rachel's name became synonymous with Hollywood's increasingly questionable approach to diversity, what some called representation, others saw as cultural gymnastics. Yet somehow these decisions were met with little resistance within the industry.
We also have a star who I don't think fits the bill and also continuously talks on the internet, thus further poisoning the well of this already doomed film.
Rachel Zegler herself has acknowledged the complexity of her casting choices, calling herself a white Latina, and admitting that some roles have made her uncomfortable. Yet, rather than stepping back to reflect on her decisions, she continued to accept them. Hollywood seemed to treat her like a walking act of reparations, draping her in ball gowns and applauding her as the next big thing. Major outlets, from Variety to People, heralded her as a rising star, and any criticism that came her way was swiftly met with a modern-day public shaming. But the tides have shifted. After 3 consecutive box office flops, with Y2K being the most recent disaster, even Hollywood seems to have had enough. Variety, the same outlet that once championed Zegler, has now published a scathing piece marking her potential downfall. Written by Tatiana Siegel, Hollywood's unofficial executioner, the article reads like a career obituary. Wading into divisive issues as Zegler has done isn't part of Disney's new playbook, it said. In Hollywood speak, that's more than a warning, it's essentially a death sentence. Siegel, known for delivering Hollywood's most cutting truths with a gentle touch, once defended Disney's decision to fire Gina Carano, portraying it as a noble stance. If Variety has now turned on Zegler, it's not just another opinion piece, it's the industry signaling its discontent. Rachel Zegler's time in Hollywood seems to be rapidly winding down. If the drama surrounding Snow White is any indication, this is just the beginning of a much bigger fallout. Disney's live-action Snow White has been mired in controversy from the get-go, and now the studio's damage control efforts are in full swing. The teaser trailer has racked up a jaw-dropping 1.4 million downvotes compared to just 100,000 upvotes, a ratio that's hard to ignore. The message is clear. Audiences are just not on board.
Absolutely atrocious. I've got 3 official videos by Disney to take a look at, and just generally take a look at the comments, the like to dislike ratio, and it's a disaster. I mean, if I was Bob Iger, I'd be...
Disney must be reeling from the series of missteps surrounding their Snow White remake, with Rachel Zegler at the center of the storm. From her divisive comments to her off-putting public persona, Zegler has transformed what could have been a challenging project into a full-blown PR disaster. Instead of winning fans over, her presence seems to be alienating them further. Snow White, a character traditionally defined by innocence and charm, feels completely miscast with Zegler in the role, and audiences have responded with ridicule rather than enthusiasm. Instead of rooting for her portrayal, many are simply hate-watching, picking apart every aspect of the trailer in comment sections. And the problems aren't just limited to Snow White. Zegler's other recent project, Y2K, is also a colossal failure. The film starts with a nostalgic trip back to the 90s, offering references to AOL usernames, mixtapes, and dial-up internet. But after a promising first 20 minutes, it quickly spirals into a directionless mess. The filmmakers clearly misunderstood the Y2K phenomenon, which had the potential to be comedic gold, but instead devolved into chaos and killer appliances. Zegler's casting as both the hottest girl in high school and a genius computer nerd adds to the list of bizarre choices in the film. It's a case of miscasting at its worst, and A24 Studios' decisions seem to be begging for scrutiny at this point. Despite these glaring issues, Y2K has moments of genuine charm, particularly in its early scenes. The humor, though inconsistent, does land occasionally, and the nostalgic callbacks will hit home for anyone who lived through the late 90s. But these brief moments of potential only highlight how much the film missed the mark overall. What could have been a clever, heartfelt tribute to a bizarre moment in history is instead just another forgettable flop in a long line of disappointing films.
The thing left for the actress to do is to wait for the fallout from Snow White when it debuts, pack her bags, and start training for her new job when she meets real people in the world.
What can I get you?
I'd like a large coffee.
Okay, so hot coffee.
Zegler's career is rapidly plummeting, with 3 straight box office flops under her belt. At this point, Hollywood might need a new term for a streak like hers, maybe a Zegler for 3 massive failures. She's the common thread in each of these disappointments, and it's hard to see a way forward. Share your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe for more on Hollywood's latest woke projects. See you in the next one.